everyone. We are ready to go already. So, I'm just gonna hit the start button and hope for the best, basically. Maynard will be joining me in about an hour. So I guess to the start of the semifinals. Need something, an emergency come up. Rifkin is not here. He also couldn't be here. And updated a couple of hours ago. Whoops-a-daisy. That's okay, I didn't change the transition scene anyways. Perfect. No, that's ugly. I'll have to change that. Yeah, I'm gonna change that. Whoa, that was weird. I just previewed this live. An attempt to make the bit boss prettier. It did not make it prettier. So, I'm just gonna delete it. Whoop. That's like a big old white thing. Oh well. It'll deal. Also, it's missing the name. That's what's missing. Well, maybe bit boss is broken. We'll see what happens, but I'm gonna do the intros and explain what's going on. In the top right, it is the red Terran. aLive. In the bottom left is the blue Protoss. He is root herO. So yeah, Maynard will be joining me in a bit. Rifkin had to, I guess he didn't get any sleep at all, so message Maynard. Maynard's able to cover and then message me. So I'm the one streaming and observing. Maybe I should. There you go. And that's what we're going to do. So today is the Olimoleague Finals, which for those unfamiliar with the format means that the top 8 point collectors of the month of May battle it out. Top point earners versus low point earners, blah, 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 blah. And then for the finals, it's one best of 3 into both best of 5 semifinals into the finals, which is a best of 7. And as you can see here, we're casting aLive versus herO. I believe Crank is casting Sue versus, I want to say Protoss, but don't quote me on that. Maybe it was a Terran. Oh, actually, it's Bunny. That's what it was. Sue versus Bunny, I think. And then there's other really good matches happening, too, but those are the ones that the cast decided to, well, cast. I think it's a pretty fun one. herO's always fun to watch. Whoa! This is some straight-up greed. Holy shit. That is a double Nexus before 7X core. Yeah, you don't see that too often. But, you know, he did scout aLive very quickly and saw that he had gone for a command center first into 3 barracks and decided instead of trying his old shenanigans, which work less well against a build like this, instead to go for the opposite of his usual shenanigans. And that would be just a macro really, really, really hardcore. I actually didn't even know this was really a build. I think maybe I saw it a couple times in Heart of the Swarm. And even with Liberty, actually. I don't know, thinking back on it, where you do this versus a Terran, and basically you just power up on gateways, which back in the day wasn't usually a very good thing. I mean, you had your Blink Stalker all-ins, which are obviously pretty good depending on the meta and whatever. But other than that, like, you were supposed to get to Colossus or at least Storm, you know? But if you went for like a super quick third base into just like a blossom of gateways, you could really bust a Terran who wasn't expecting it. So obviously in Legacy of the Void, where you can go mass gateway armies with, you know, decent upgrades and really make it work, it could be truly fearsome. So aLive did scout this. This is such a quick Nexus though that it's kind of funny. Like, it almost looks like it's a natural taken at the third, like it's Zerg. But it's not, and I hope he knows that. But they really did start like one after the other, so you know that could have been like a misread, thinking that it was a Stargate into a Nexus. You know, just that little bit of a delay on the Nexus, so that when he saw it, he was like, okay, wait a second. I mean, he's got a missile turret, you know, and he really doesn't need that one, but he only got it in one base, so it seems like maybe he. Well, I mean, I guess he only needed one base, right? Because he had enough Marines for the other one. I don't know. I don't know what aLive was thinking. But I was going to say, if he really knew that it was a fast, like, super quick third base, maybe he would have tried attacking with his Marines by now. But only just now moving out. Probe will see this. Very good for herO, because he does need to, you know, accommodate for seeing a push out like that. He doesn't have a lot of units quite yet. But Jesus, already up to 54. Oh my god, he's almost with 60 probes. God! Jace! Don't try this at home, is what I say. That's what I say. This isn't a push out. He breaks down the rocks, and he might try and poke and prod and get the Photon Overcharge popped, but he just scanned the main and saw very normal things. Gateways, Twilight Council, and a Forge being chronoed. Which I'm pretty sure, like, again, like, this is something that you could still be like, this is off of the usual 2 bases. What's got to be, like, making aLive scratch his head, though, if he doesn't already know, again, this third timing was just so bizarre, is like, where is the Stargate? So he sees a Phoenix right now, but no press really goes Phoenix first against a Terran, right? Like, he's gonna see it's Lucent Phoenix too, as it dies. There you go. So, you know, that's got to be a little curious, because you're gonna go for like the usual build on Proxima is like a you know 2-base Stargate into a very quick 3rd base. So the lack of a Stargate, yet seeing like nothing else really except the Twilight Council and the Forge is maybe a little confusing. No, I don't know how he's reading into this, but hero's gonna go for Dark Shrine. He's got a Warp Prism now, but he just moved his army out to take down the rocks. This army of aLive does have Stim, but not combat shields, and the medevacs are just on the way. So not feeling too confident to attack into this. And hero's already up to 8 gateways, for God's sakes. Like, I mean, he had one moment, I think, if this did have combat shields and medevacs, where aLive maybe takes his army on, especially because he's the sentries off guard. But now, I don't even know. 8 Adepts were warped in. They can't really stand up on their own, but the medevacs still aren't here, and it's going to turn into a bit of a base trade. Robo is depowered. Widow Mines could be amazing, but I don't think there are any Widow Mines in play, so it doesn't matter if there's no detection. Warp Prism was built. It's already on the way. He's going to attack into the main base, and I feel like a herO has more overwhelming potential than aLive does. In fact, I know it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Photon Overcharge, even on that one Atosis Pylon. Shit. And then Adept Warp-ins, and that's going to be it, man. Like, there are 2 Widow Mines, and they will get maybe some decent pop-offs, but with that Warp Prism still alive, and hero's still working off of at least 2 bases, with his 3rd not dying, just the probes, like, this is going to be easy peasy. Oh god, Dark Templars come in too. And that 3rd base isn't even an orbital for aLive. What is this game? What is it? That's gonna go down. Doesn't have to. Mostly Adepts here. Alright. Widow Mine does get a shot off, but I think it would be, like, so much better if it was going off on the Warp Prism, which is being very well protected in the back here. Command Center is going to go down. DTs can turn into Archons as well. You know, if you really wanted to do that. Mothership Core even comes. That seems unnecessary. They can't even help deal with the Liberators. It's really useless. aLive is desperate. You know, like, he has an army, and that's why he doesn't want to tap out, but it's you know, he lost all of his economy, whereas herO only lost a handful of probes. Really not the same thing. Scan and Widow Mines did take out most of the Dark Templars, and that missile turret could get a couple of shots off. Got like 1 shot off. He took out all of the Adepts. I mean, there's a reason aLive didn't just leave the game. But I still think that even if herO has to go back home in macro, aLive's going to have a very tough time ahead, because his 3rd CC died. His natural barely lived, but his 3rd CC died. So, is there really a future for aLive? He does have better upgrades, but that's just because herO stalled out in his upgrades. Like, he didn't lose his Forge, and he could start +2. hero's going to try and make the game end. I mean, with more Warpins coming in, if he had just given up all these Stalkers and like got out with an Immortal and a Stalker or whatever, understandable. But now that he's warped in so much, like, there's no way he just leaves all this army to die. But this might be the one way that herO throws the game, though. I mean, up against Liberators and Widow Mines, that's literally the best combination. I guess only rivaled by like Corrosive Bile and Fungal. It's pretty good, and you know, Blink never came into play. You know, he finished Resonant Glaze and +1, and then that's when the base trade happened. He's going to pull the bio away, but this bio is, you know, it's got the upgrades. It doesn't really have the medevacs. Medevacs are quite, you know, quite low on energy, but I don't know if this is going to help him break the Liberators and the Widow Mines. So, this is all types of complicated. A Liberator did sneak off to the natural, and this is aLive trying to do some type of harassment. And he is also macroing, like he remembered to build 2 extra barracks, he started to float a lot of money. But he's starting to run out of minerals in the main base, just literally run out of them. Observer sniped, I think that was, oh no, that was just a DT, or a Adept, that might be DT. We're gonna take the natural, the third is the natural, there we go. English. And just waits. I really thought this game was gonna be over. Once aLive had to lift his natural, and you know, I just thought he'd tap out, but he saw he had an army and is trying to make it work. Maybe build a bunker at the front, because this is going to be annoying. Here's going to keep on transferring out the shades to the location. Ah, this is going to be really nice. Gets on top of the bio, so they can't just kite back into those Widow Mines. That's what herO was wanting. herO, by the way, is like built up back to 33 probes. Like, he's going to simply overwhelm aLive's bio. It's only the Widow Mines and the Liberators that makes this like a tricky thing. So the fact that the bio dies, that's finally when aLive tops out. GG. I don't think it's been updated yet. Anyways, in game number 2. In the top left, down 1, he is the blue Terran aLive for my insanity. In the bottom right is the red Protoss. It's herO. And I was just literally thinking if they fixed the camera bug, and they didn't. Just if anyone was really wondering. There you go. Yeah, the aLive Finals wasn't updated, so... Just gonna go to Wikipedia. Oh my god. Olivia, how did you fail at this one? First, it was last week's Olimoleague that was linked on the Wikipedia, or the Team Liquid calendar, and now it's next week's. No, 2 weeks from now. Olimoleague linked on the calendar. What happened? Whatever, Wikipedia's got it. So the other matches happening that aren't being cast are Innovation versus Keen and Gumio versus Billowy. The winner of this will go on to face the winner of Innovation Keen, which I'm gonna guess is Innovation because it's Innovation and this TvT is awesome. So, you know, that'd be pretty cool. herO is up 1-0, and he had a very dominant just kind of build order, really. I mean, it was a command center first versus a fast triple nexus. I'm not even sure, like, what herO can, or aLive can really do about it. If he had known about it, and that was one of the key things, is that I think it was very hard to scout, maybe he just sends, all, like, whatever Marines he can for, because he doesn't have to wait for, you know, the Oracle. And he probably would have known that had he gotten a full scout, but, you know, otherwise you just assume they have a Stargate. And, you know, but even then, like, what's an overcharge? Maybe that's too much. I think, you know, playing out a standard game, which he was totally willing to do, until he saw the army move away from his own, was probably going to be the better call. You know, he had his third command center just about to turn into an orbital, and then he saw the army move across the map and was like, oh shit. So, what are you going to do? I don't know. It was a brutal build, though. This point is, like, I don't know about, like, build order wins or anything like that, but it was, like, certainly a brutal build for herO to get away with. And it's definitely not going to happen again with Proxima out of the map pool. I'm pretty sure. aLive, though, like, if he's not going to scout with an SCV, which is understandable, like, I mean, not every single Terran scouts in TvP with an SCV, then I guess herO could try and get away with it, but it'd be risky. The Reaper even stay at home. Why? Because you're facing herO. Like, and, you know, every Protoss has it in to do the Photon Overcharge rush with the Pylons and the Oracles and the even. But herO especially will force the issue and then have really good macro behind it. So even if you deal with it okay, like, you might still get a lead off of it, especially with, like, the fact that he's not shy about making more than 2 Oracles. He'll make 3 or 4. Maybe even, like, a rare game 5, you know? So, it'd be tricky to deal with. So the Reaper finally goes out. He's going to scout the third base, see that it's not taken super quickly. You know, I think last game, the build order would have been visible if you just looked at the build order. If the no match history wasn't on. Is there no build order? Well, I guess I'll see if there's no build order. You know what? I'm confused. It doesn't matter. Point is, like, the third Nexus was really down that fast, but I don't know if you really had time. I think that might have been what they were talking about in the lobby, but I don't understand enough Korean. But that, anyways, the Reaper dies, but it did scout the Stargate, which is the default guess if you really have no idea what's going on. aLive doesn't have a Widow Mine yet, as he did go for 3 barracks. So it's just the Marines covering the mineral lines, which is, you know, fine. But less likely to kill the Oracle. Second Oracle on the way too. And there's that third base. Bunker coming down. Stalled out, well, but it's supposed to be coming down. As again, aLive just playing super careful. If he could just play a decent defensive macro game and get up to a comfortable position, then he probably feels a lot more confident. And that's what he tried to do last game. It just, you know, didn't work out, and it really sucked because, you know, a lot of the reason it worked out even like less than it should have for aLive is that no medevacs were with that army that kept on stimming to try and base trade. You know, they stemmed twice, and that's a lot of damage to take. Photon Overcharge starts to, you know, kill a bunch of Marines. Depths at the front are plentiful in number, so that Marine squad usually able to take on, you know, 2, 3, 4 depths, but 5, like, a little suspicious. Runs back to the bunker. Not too common to see the Protoss just run forward with this many adepts, by the way, so I'm sure aLive is thinking, okay, what else is happening? The chances of a, you know, Stargate opener into, like, that quick of a robo? I don't know. He doesn't have to worry about a War Prism quite yet. So the robo is only just making its observer. But it's still a fear. I mean, a guy like herO could go for a War Prism first and just chrono that out and go across the map. Why not? Sim is done. Not combat shields, though, so maybe attacking the Marines would have been the better choice. Yeah, no Adept survives. Oracles are going to come into the main base. It looks like they're quite injured, and there are a lot more Marines already. Just taps and then leaves. Tap, tap, tap. aLive was a turret placement, once again getting the better of him. herO is up to 60 probes. He has gone for a couple of Void Rays, which is always interesting. He went quickly into Colossus as opposed to staying on Resident Enclave Adepts for a long time. Obviously, he didn't get many Phoenixes, and aLive has seen that, so I read this up before. I think it is more popular nowadays, or maybe it's just because we cast so much Korean stuff, so maybe it's just a Korean thing. But I think it's more popular not to go into just mass Adept Phoenix. Like that, not that it's been figured out necessarily, like that still just like kills Terrans, and you're like, what do they even do? But I think that it is just mixing up the play, that you more often see the Protoss either go directly into Blink as well as Resident Enclaves, or, as we see here, Colossus, which is what herO is doing. So aLive, I don't know if he sees this, but he saw no Phoenixes, so he's got to know that the mass Adepts that you'd usually go up against isn't actually a thing. And there's no upgrades at all for this Fight Council, so... Sees the Colossus now, he's going to try and just work his micro magic against it. These Zealots without charge look awfully just lame, but they are soaking up the shots. The Colossus did not have Extended Thermal Lance, which is a really big reason as to why here I had to be careful with it. The drop of the main base kills 7 probes. The Void Rays help scare it away. The Colossus gets a little too far forward, but he was focus firing it. He stopped at the last second, so it survives, and the army has to disengage. An Observer is over it anyways, and he'll be on top of when that moves in again. Wow, I really thought I was going to get the Colossus. Okay, well, drop goes in the natural. That is where the Robotics Bay is. It's finally finished up Extended Thermal Lance, but it could still be worth sniping. Widow Mine is involved too. Drop in the main base as well. Widow Mines aren't burrowing. Probes are going down. Probes have already been pulled over here, so that's not too bad. That's just a pylon. Ah, gets the sentry. Zealot's gonna chew that up, send it going away. Doesn't even save the Widow Mines, but 10 probes go down. Void Rays finally clean that other drop up, and this drop is so small that a couple of Zealots and a Colossus will help deal with it. Well, that aggression, what was in total? When it hit him, almost 20 probes. but at the cost of quite a few drops worth of units. Only one medevac, which is nice, but a lot of those Marines. He's gonna go for Ghost Academy. I'm hesitant to say this is the right choice, though. There's always some, like, something to say about Ghost versus a Colossus army, because EMPs are never not gonna do damage, right? Like, if they don't hit High Templars, they don't not do anything. I think I put too many negatives in there. But the point is, like, you can hit anything on a Protoss army, and that's actually doing damage. And then on top of that, the Ghost has an okay attack as well. So it's not a bad thing to have Ghost, but when you're on, you know, even 3 bases fully saturated, which aLive is, it's still an expensive investment to also try and get to the starport. So, I don't know. You know, and he very clearly knows that it's not Resident Glaive's Adepts. I mean, you didn't see them in the first place, and then you tacked in them and saw a bunch of Colossus. So there's no misconception there for aLive. He just actually invested in the Ghost Academy pretty early, instead of a second starport. Well, that is a big drop. Takes the longest way around the map. But it's going to be running into a bunch of Void Rays, and if herO's on top of those Void Rays, it actually, like, 2 medevacs would die if it automatically prismatic aligned. The patch hasn't hit yet. I guess this is, like, the one time I get to talk about it. It's weird. In Korea, and it hasn't hit anywhere, I don't think. The maintenance is going today. But in that patch, if they prismatic alignment, they're slower overall movement speed. But aLive sees the 2 Void Rays and decides not to go for it. Another attack off to the right side. He's hoping that either one would distract herO's army, but it's not really working out that way. herO now has a very powerful army. A lot of sentries, funnily enough, so those EMPs will be more than just damage dealers. They'll actually take out a lot of force fields and maybe even the Guardian Shields. Blocks out, or dodges out that one of mine. 2-2 on the way, and oh well, he already has his, so that's upgrade advantage goes to herO. Void Rays miss the quadruple drop going to the main base. A Colossus will pop out and then probably die. A lot of key structures are here, and herO had moved so far out to deal with that other push. Way too far forward, as he's probably thinking about getting aggressive. Now realizes that going back home might not be the right thing to do, so he tries to get aggressive again. But he's walking Colossus into Vikings. That was a little scary. Stalkers are trying to take them out fast enough, but they're going to get a Colossus before they die. There's still 2 more. I thought there was a 4th one. Where the fuck did it go? Okay, well, I don't know where it went. But EMPs did go down on a lot of the army. It didn't get all of the sentries, but quite a lot of them. 2 more Vikings live. Going to take out maybe another Colossus. aLive's main drop in the main base also not quite getting cleaned up yet. Down to 1 Colossus. The Void Rays join in, however. And those upgrades are still in favor. No, it's a 2-1. 3-2 was stalled out in those forges. This doesn't look like a big enough army. The War Prism wasn't with us either. This was a desperate move once he realized that he couldn't come back home to deal with it. And aLive takes the game. Forces herO into a very uncomfortable situation. And herO, you know, tried, but I really think I had 4 Colossus. What the fuck was up with that? Did I just miscount? I think the Vikings would have gotten more than 1 Colossus before they were to skedaddle back home. I mean, that could be a big difference. Like, if those Vikings aren't chipping away at all those Colossus, and there's 4 Colossus getting even a couple of shots off on that bio army, like, that's way more damage from the take. But that's a tied up series. I'm getting to game 3 once herO chooses the map. It is loser's pick, and it is the Olimoleague, so we've been reduced to 5 maps. Blood Boil and Sequencer are not in the map pool. And the map is Odyssey. I guess the other match has concluded. As you see, all the casters are in here now. Bunny ended up winning over Sue, and Gumiho ended up winning over Billowy. One a lot more surprising than the other. Innovation versus Keen I had updated. There we go. Yeah, that timing with the drop was absolutely perfect. He had baited the army to go so far forward, they're not quite attacking his natural base, and the Void Rays had been on too big of a patrol, so they literally just missed the medevac. It was pretty good. Alright, game number 3. Whoever wins this is in the money and has to face the winner of Innovation versus Keen. Whoever loses doesn't get anything. On the bottom right is the blue Protoss. He is Root herO. The top left is the red Terran. He is aLive. I say too, I think aLive, like, if he hadn't gotten that Doom drop off, I'm really wondering if he had any chance in that game. And there's always a chance, you know, good concaves, drops obviously can bring you back and buy a lot of time. But he was pretty low on the Viking count, and the EMPs might not have been too convincing if it was like a straight-on head-to-head fight in any type of choke, which Abyssal has plenty of. Like, I was really suspicious that aLive had a chance in that game, but the Doom drop combination was perfect, and then herO, I mean, he had Blink, and he had decent upgrades, but he just, you know, the Vikings got a couple of Colossus, and that's never very good. Quick probe scouts, always going to be scary, but not common, so just gotta respond to it as best as possible. aLive once again not gonna SCV scout, just take this out. Go away, probey. herO does take a regular Nexus after Gateway. You can still pressure with the Pylon Rush if you really want to, but it's obviously a lot later, so it's like questionable. But I think just the like potential, leaving the probe around, having it sneak back in to scare the Terran is always going to be worthwhile. If nothing else, just harassing the SCV build in the command center is the worst to deal with as a Terran player. So unfortunately aLive has to place that a little bit off center. Oh, and for follow-up of 111, he followed up the command center last game with triple barracks. And then, of course, the first game was CC and a triple barracks. So this is a departure from the norm. herO might have gotten used to not having to worry about Widow Mines, but that's really hard to say. What, he plays like five games for somebody who doesn't get Widow Mines, and he suddenly forgets the Terrans do that? Like, I don't think so. I'm sure he's going to be as careful as he's always been with his oracles, which I'm assuming he's getting, but it's not absolutely true facts, you know? Like, I'm still, in fact, waiting to see what he gets from for his tech. He's chroning out the Adept and then back into probes. And this probe did live, but the Reaper is specifically patrolling to make sure that it cannot place down any pylons. So while the Militia Corps is making its way on over, it's only going to be able to lift the command center, which isn't bad. I don't know if it's worth 2 pylons, though. 1 should be canceled. And the Reaper, I mean, it did its job. There's not much else it can honestly do. And there's not much else that it really, like, should be pressured into doing. Because the pylons aren't anywhere near the ramp, like, his little bit of extra DPS probably isn't worth not scouting, basically. He needs to know if there's a Stargate following this up, or if it's, for instance, a Robo, which it is. And I think he'll be able to scout, too. I mean, there's only the Adept for defense. He gets a probe, make it 2 probes. But the probes, I don't think are worth not getting a scout off, so he's got to get out of there. The Adept doesn't really attack that fast. Doesn't go up into the main base. He's going to try and escape, but that might have been the wrong move. It was the wrong move. Militia Corps being very conservative. After all, the pylons are so far out, then why would you ever overcharge them? To break on the rocks? I don't think so. Cyclone was built just as, you know, you see the threats, and the Cyclone is the safest thing to get. So it's unfortunate because it's like a little bit useless as the game goes on. But, you know, it's a log on a War Prism or kills an Adept or 2, and it's worth. Gets the pylon. Militia Corps really is just playing games here. Medevac picked up nothing but Marines, so no worry about the Widow Mine getting too brutal of a shot. And even if that was the case, there's an observer. Liberator also on the way. So the Reaper didn't scout the lack of a Stargate, or whatever else was replacing that Stargate, but it did, you know, there's been no Oracle yet. I think he's seen at least no third base up here, but the other one's still in question. So we might just be figuring out, basically, that it's not a Stargate follow-up, and that would make any Terran a lot more confident in doing drops and sending Liberator out to harass. At this point in time, herO has certainly delayed this third Natural Command Center quite a bit. Let's say it's been worth the pylons, and he did let both finish, but even then I think it's been worth. herO's not, you know, totally exploding with economy and gateways because he didn't go for the fast third, but he is, as you can see, taking that economic lead. Medevac is seen by the Observer. Again, it's just Marines, without Stim, without Widowmine, so it shouldn't do anything, really. But that is a Robo into Twilight Council into Dark Shrine. So Blink and that Warp Prism. It's going to be a brutal combination. And on top of that, you're going to drop a couple of Dark Templars here and there. And that's going to be really annoying. I guess there was an Observer over here, but I didn't even see that. Yeah, okay. This Medevac drop was able to see the lack of a third base over here. And as I said before, it saw this one also not taken. That doesn't really mean that it won't be taken, though. I mean, the timing on it, if it is a Stargate, then it's like super, super quick. But if it's like a Robo, it can be a lot later. So I'm not sure if aLive's too suspicious yet. I would say that he's not. There's no bunker. There's no consolidating all of his units and panicking. But maybe he should. Stalkers are on the way. The Widowmine gives a little bit of advance notice. Gets a decent shot off. His Blink wasn't quite done yet. Stim, more importantly, isn't quite done yet. And those Stalkers can just kite the Marines all day long. The Warp Prism gets in the main base. Adept's going to go rampant on the SCV line. The Cyclone's trying its best to help out, but it can't help out versus this many Adepts. 9 SCVs have already gone down. The Bio Army doesn't look very convincing. Now that Marauders are here, at least it's a little bit better. But we now have Dark Templars also being warped in. He doesn't quite see the blur yet, but the DTs aren't doing a lot yet either. Maybe should have gone for Stim. I mean, the Tech Labs are both researching. Surprised they didn't try and go for either one. Stalker's just being controlled on the front. We do have a Liberator having siege up in the back of the Nexus. He killed 9 probes to help even things out. Stim is almost done. A Widowmine gets a nasty hit in the Stalkers. The main command center has to be lifted. He's going to lose his upgrade. I mean, losing +1 is all fine and dandy, but I think Stim would have been a better target. Fortunately, probably thought he was only just going to get combat shields and Marauders slow. But now he sees the army stimming. Not sure what that was about. You definitely can't reach the cities from down there. But there's nonetheless a lot of chaos going down, right? So 14 SCVs to 9 probes lost. And that's really, like, that's not supposed to be too bad. But the fact that it's still taking so long to clean up, he still has to land his command center to get scans, and he has to scan and not mule drop is really adding up here. Here is just reinforcing, as his Warp Prism, I guess, was either forgotten about or just he figures he'll keep it for later. I don't know, but the Stalkers are coming in from a long ways away. Dodges out the Widowmine once again. He has a second Warp Prism on the way, so maybe he thought it died. Maybe he doesn't have a hotkey. I don't know. But an aggressive blink forward as there wasn't enough bio. The rest of it was trying to deal with the DTs, but you can see that the army has also just dropped significantly. This one DT finally going to get scanned, but now he won't have the scan for the Observer, so the Widowmine gets taken out, or the Widowmine gets taken out by the Observer. And so, while the army has to temporarily leave, it just needs one more stim on the bio with such limited healing, and Stalkers could definitely take it on. They also have +1, and now herO finally sits down his own third base. Warp Prism was remembered, or maybe he really did, you know, he just wanted a Warp Prism that didn't have to sneak around to get to the front, so he just wanted double Warp Prism. Sure. That is it. GG! herO takes the series and moves on to face a Terran. This is what I know. Good. Innovation 2-0'd Keen. This is the only game 3 of all the series. I think we're gonna get Bunny versus Gumiho next, as that was the first series to end. So we're gonna take a break and see you when the lobby's ready.